The IT sector is abuzz once again. Wipro, Infosys and other firms have reportedly revoked offers given to freshers after delaying the onboarding process for several months. On the cancelled hirings, Bengaluru-based IT major Wipro issued a statement in which it said it can confirm it will honor all offer letters that have been made to deserving candidates, and that's an important phrase. It says to deserving candidates in a phased manner. However, Infosys and Tech Mahindra are yet to clarify on the matter. It's an important development because it comes at a time when there are fears that global pressures and the global slowdown will impact Indian IT companies. Before we move ahead and talk about whether a sector that employs 51 lakh people is facing some headwinds, let me go across to my colleague Anisha, who's breaking that story down for us.
Well, IT sector is in focus because reports suggest that the likes of Wipro, Tech Mahindra as well as Infosys may now look at revoking some of the offers made to freshers. Now, let me put it in context. Since the start of the year, we have already seen that hiring has slowed down considerably on a year-on-year basis, and that is because there is an uncertainty regarding how the demand environment will pan out in 2023. We've already seen there was a rapid hiring happening in 2022. So, in context of that, there has been a definite slowdown. Plus, there are questions being raised whether the demand in BFSI sector will sustain or not, and that's why the companies have turned a tad bit cautious in terms of adding more cost. Now, there were reports that were suggesting that the companies were looking at delaying the onboarding by 3 to 4 months, in the sense that they just wanted to get on board the people in a staggered manner. But the latest reports talk about how the companies are looking at revoking their offer letters. Of course, we have not got any confirmation on the same from the companies, but there's a lot of clamor on social media with students complaining about the revocation of the offer letters. Having said that, we did reach out to a couple of companies. So TCS, for instance, has replied to ET now, and they say it is a normal year for TCS in terms of trainee joining, and all our offered trainees are being onboarded in a staggered manner as per our staffing plans since Q1 of this year. As always, TCS will honor all offers made as part of their campus hiring. Similarly, Wipro replied to ET now, wherein they said that they are going to honor the offers made to all deserving candidates. So they also refuse to confirm the reports about revocation of the offer letters. Having said that, we are still awaiting replies from Tech Mahindra and Wipro. But for now, there seems to be a lot of speculation around whether these offer letters are being revoked or not.
All right, Sunil, Chemmankotil, CEO, Teamlease Digital, joins me now on the show. I'm speaking with Samir Parekh, founder, Narayan HR, Aditya, Narayan, Mishra, Director and CEO, CIEL HR Services, also speaking with us today. Welcome to all of you, and thank you so much for joining us this evening on the India Development Debate. Sunil, let me begin with your take. What are we really seeing, and have you yourself independently heard of these reports, or from people who have first had a delay in the rollout of their actual employment and then a revocation of offer letters?
Yeah, we did hear from some of our, known sources that, there have been delay. Initially, they delayed the, joinings, and now there are some news coming in, which is very disheartening for the candidates that, their employment have been revoked. But while from the employer's point of view, we get to hear that, it's just rescheduling of joining dates, and in some cases they have said that eligibility criteria has not been met. But I think overall there seems to be a lot of confusion.
Just 1 minute, just to get a confirmation there or some clarity there. A delay in joining is very different from a revocation. If a employee or a prospective employer candidate gets a letter saying that the offer is revoked, there is no delay. That means the offer is revoked. There is no ambiguity. And is there any scope, for us to understand, to say that they did not find eligibility, because the offer letters are rolled out after several rounds of interviews, isn't it?
Yeah, so this is something which is new. I am hearing, once you finalize a candidate and then only you roll out the offer, you have already taken through all types of assessments, interviews, and post that, you release an offer. But getting to hear that, post issuing the offer, you have not met the criteria is something which is absolutely bizarre. I have never heard that before.
Samir, Parekh, how do you look at this trend, and is it reflecting the health of the sector? These are some of the most coveted employers in the country. I think we can say that very, very clearly. Why is this happening in your view?
Definitely, Tamanna, the one factor which we must keep in mind that IT sector in India is part of the global ecosystem. And the three I's, the invasion, interest rates, and the inflation, is definitely going to impact IT sector globally, and definitely that too true for Indian companies. Having said that, I'm not very sure as to whether this and your reports are also saying, of course, there is a word deserving candidates, but otherwise, I'm not. I haven't come across very large number of cases where they are withdrawing the offers. There is definitely a check of background check verification process, BCV, that many companies have, and many of these companies have that process post issuing offer letter also, and therefore that could be one reason. Delays, yes, that has happened. We have come to know, and the staggered joining, that's a very standard process as and when companies see certain and their projections see some kind of their funnels and the pipeline sees some kind of slowdown, they do go in a staggered manner. I really do not think that delaying the offer means cancellation, but yes, and as an employer, it's always a good choice to adopt a staggered induction rather than cancellation, because cancellation or a mass cancellation, that means in future attracting good talent could be a challenge, and therefore it is always good to delay the process if that is required. And I think that's what these companies would be doing. I don't think so that we really need to worry
you've
much.
raised an important point. You're saying you haven't seen too many cases of revocation, which is why the first question I asked Sunil is if he has heard or seen of such cases. This is coming from a newswire agency's report. I think it's important to clarify to our viewers what the origin of the story is. And as my colleague Anisha explained in the beginning of the show, there is a lot of people on social media saying that they have received letters saying their offers have been revoked. And this is across companies. So, of course, we're waiting for clarification from the companies. As of now, it does seem that in some cases there is a delay and in some cases there is a revocation. So, we are starting from that point to understand what could be happening. I want to also get a sense, Aditya, that is there a slowdown in recruitment overall? Because there was data recently saying that for the last month, the level of recruitment in this space had come down by as much as 10%. So are you seeing a slowdown in demand for new candidates?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the user industries, which are overseas largely, are today tightening their purse strings. It could be due to several factors, the largely global developments. So what we are seeing is that organizations are trying to run the projects which are essential for their operations. However, there are many discretionary spend that the organizations do, keeping the long term in mind. For example, applying new technology, replacing some of those older ones with the hope that it will give them some higher efficiency in the long term. So those kind of projects today, the CIOs of pharma, telecom, hospitality, retail, financial services companies all over the world are tightening their purse strings. They are delaying those projects. As a result, the IT services providers based out of India are facing the heat. So some of those projects which needed to be delivered, let's say in the month of September, are now getting extended for December. So the number of people that you require on a particular project is not same as what it was as per the plan. And hence some of those backfilling which happens have been delayed. And we are also seeing the impact on the freshers.
All right. So we are seeing a sluggishness in the pipeline of new joinees. But to put this into perspective, for the last 2 years at least, especially during pandemic, this entire sector was on fire. in terms of the amount of hiring that was happening, the salaries that were being offered, and the competitive demand for talent. So maybe we're seeing a balancing out over there. There are though more issues that the IT industry seems to be facing specifically, and let me come to you on some of those, Sunil. We now know that the moonlighting debate is really out there. It's a big one. Just news coming in a short while ago that now Wipro has said people have to come in at least 3 days a week into the office. TCS is trying to pull people back into the office. No one really wants to do that. There is a pushback there. So for the IT industry as well, is this a period of flux as far as their talent management is concerned?
Yeah, definitely. We are witnessing that, so there is this is a period of flux because, there is a constant tussle between what employers are expecting post-pandemic versus what employees want to, so the workplace flexibility in one of our surveys came as one of the topmost reasons why, employees are deciding on shifting from one organization to other organization, career growth, workplace flexibility, and, employee value proposition. These are the 3 top reasons we found, why employees are moving. And adding to your question, answering to your question. So this is where when all the organizations have started pushing everybody to come back to office, we see that, employees are still not ready to accept that change. They would either want 2 days working from office and rest 3 days working from home kind of environment. So I think it will take some time to reach a mid path, which is good for both employee and employers.
Yeah. Samir, this is the big concern, isn't it? Weaning people back from work from home and also justifying why you actually need people to come in when they have maybe moved out of major cities, have found a different kind of a work-life balance, etc. Is that going to be a tough challenge for IT companies?
Tamanna, I'm personally a big advocate for work from anywhere concept, as long as your role doesn't necessitate you to be in the office or in the manufacturing plant. I think all other roles, it is a great opportunity for recalibrating entire employment scenario in the organized sector. And I think companies must look at their policies. I know the moonlighting is a serious issue, and especially for those individuals who are working for the current or potential competitors of the first of the main organization, there is absolutely no need to show any mercy those candidates or those employees. Having said that, we need to accept this reality that people aspirations for multiple things have gone up, including for income, and therefore, when I was talking to a youngster, he said that my father used to make investments in stocks and mutual funds, and I remember that in the evening he used to sit with the newspaper, checking the things, and then taking decisions. What would you call it? Now, how do you defend moonlighting from that perspective? Yes, if it is an ethical issue, then companies must take a strong action. That's what I suggested. And therefore, it is, I would just say that calling people to work from office, if it is adding value to the culture, which I of a firm opinion that yes, that could have
adding value to the culture is such a vague term because these people have now all been working remote for several months. So unless you can justifiably show...
And therefore I always believe that you create that kind of culture of freedom, trust, and flexibility. I think it's the organizations which are able to create that kind of culture and create that kind of very healthy feedback process, and which is more for the culture and not just for performance reviews. They are going to be able to hold on to the employees irrespective.
I think Sunil wants to come in on that. He's nodding along. Do you think that there should be more leniency on work from anywhere?
See, I slightly differed from what Salil said, because India is still very young in terms of IT employment. Although we are 2 decades old, I think the concepts are still not very clear. I think we don't have a strong policy in place, from work from home. So that has led to misunderstanding, or that has led to a lot of employees picking up multiple jobs. And I'm surprised that they have even picked up multiple full-time jobs with multiple PF accounts, which led to the moonlighting issue coming to forefront, and a lot of our friends lost job. Whereas in Indian system, we already have multiple types of contracts. You have permanent employment, you have contract employment, you have consulting. So people should be smart enough to choose. If you want flexibility, then don't go for permanent employment. Go for other types of employments, which are like contracting or freelancing or gig. But if you expect that you want permanent employment with all kinds of assurances, every month you want to get your salary, and you want all social security and good work culture, at the same time you want to pick up another job, then you are in trouble. This is not the right approach.
You can't have best of both worlds. But we're talking about having to come back to work, and it's interesting that you're talking about moonlighting in that context, because frankly I think they're linked. Aditya, that's the elephant in the room, isn't it? That a lot of people don't want to come back to work because it will put an end to the moonlighting.
Yeah, but my view on this is you cannot stop moonlighting by pushing people to come to work 3 days a week. It's a very knee-jerk, unfortunate response. I don't think moonlighting can be prevented by asking people to come to work. If at all anything that you are causing tremendous amount of long-term damage to your employer brand, because you are actually damaging the trust quotient with your employee. So I think moonlighting is a serious issue, of course. You cannot have full-time employment with competing brands at the same time, but organizations have to be pragmatic and bring out a clear policy rather than letting it remain as an elephant in the room and letting it be discovered by people with open eyes or closed eyes. So I feel that moonlighting as a policy needs to be addressed transparently, prepared, explained to the employees, explain to them that what is allowed, what is not allowed, and what are those set of activities that an employee can undertake with a permission from the organization.
Something like what Swiggy is doing.
Yes,
have some clarity and boundaries.
I support what Aditya says 100%, because we need to make sure that yes, there is no conflict of interest as far as second job, or it is not creating that much fatigue that the employee is not able to give that productivity standard. Not able to live up to the productivity standards. So if somebody is doing some part-time work, which is in addition to his main job, which is not in conflict of interest in terms of the customers or the competitors, there is no way we will be able to stop that. It is, and I completely agree with Aditya that work from home, canceling work from home or calling people for 3 days in a week to office is not the answer to moonlighting.
It's a short-term answer.
Absolutely. I don't think that will really help the company to, if at all, we will have to create that very healthy
I think after a point, there should also be a relationship of trust between employers and employees. You can't monitor them like, children in a school to see and ensure that they're doing their work. Anyway, interesting conversation, and I'm sure more to come as the IT sector finds itself in a period of flux. Thank you so much to all of you for joining us today.
Yeah.